Pro-Palestinian protesters lit flares and waved flags as they marched to a stadium in Oslo where a soccer World Cup qualifier between Norway and Israel was set to be played on Saturday. According to Associated Press, public broadcaster NRK said around 1,000 protesters arrived from Oslo's city centre to Ullevaal Stadion, where they were reportedly planning to stay until the start of the game at 6 p.m. local time. A banner about the war in Gaza was carried by the protesters in what appeared to be a peaceful march. A few dozen fans stayed to continue protesting outside the stadium once the match had started. Only 3,000 spectators were allowed into the game amid tight security checks. On Friday, FIFA President Gianni Infantino appealed for calm ahead of Israel's qualifying matches after Israel and Hamas agreed on a peace deal. U.S. President Donald Trump said both sides agreed to the first phase of his plan.
It's very important to raise our voices now that so many people are dying in a very unjust way. And I don't think that Norway or the Norwegian football team or the sport sector should be a part of supporting that and letting Israel hide the horrible things that the Israeli state is doing right now through sports.
It's showing the world that we somehow support or feel it's fine that the state can do a genocide and still play in international football. It's a disaster. I'm ashamed.
If we're able to have two thoughts in our minds at once, like first of all support Norway, and also show solidarity with Palestine, then I think that's a great place to be.
I think sports should be kind of separated from politics in a way, but in reality it can't be. So I don't know, but I think Norway are going to win today. That's what's most important.
Ten months later, war criminal Putin finally accepted Russia's responsibility for the downing of the Azerbaijan Airlines flight. Several Azerbaijani media outlets viewed these events as a victory for Baku in its standoff with Moscow. However, Russian media reported that both presidents demonstrated a willingness to resolve the crisis. According to the public group Agentstvo Novosti, Caliber media outlet declared a triple triumph for Aliyev, who achieved maximum results and defended the country's dignity at his meeting with Putin. Journalists from Azerbaijan wrote that from now on, it's not the Kremlin, but Baku that dictates its terms. Moscow has no choice but to accept Azerbaijan's terms. It is reported that the 11-month cooling of relations between Russia and Azerbaijan has ended. Baku, however, has retained the option for Moscow to exit with dignity from the current situation. Journalists also recalled the persecution of Azerbaijanis in Russia and the scandalous statements by Putin's propagandists against Baku. The Western press also acknowledged that Putin decided to take the blame for the downed plane in December 2024 in order to ease tensions between Moscow and Baku. Vesti propagandists devoted 3 minutes to Putin's meeting with Aliyev. Footage from Baku was also shown by propagandists from the show 60 Minutes. They edited out the footage about the Russian air defense system's culpability, but stated that Russia would pay compensation to the relatives of the victims. In December 2024, a Russian air defense system shot down an Azerbaijan Airlines flight over Chechnya. 38 people died, including citizens of Russia, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and Azerbaijan. For the past 10 months, the Kremlin has been inventing new theories about the cause of the tragedy. Andrei Kovalenko also focused on yesterday's events and explained why they are so important. After 3 years of war against Ukraine, the Kremlin has become weakened and cannot afford confrontation with Azerbaijan and Turkey. The attempts to put pressure on Baku through the arrests of representatives of the diaspora in the Russian Federation and a media campaign has completely failed. Turkey has always stood behind Azerbaijan, and Baku has acted firmly and consistently in its relations with Russia. These events have shown that it is possible and necessary to speak harshly with Russia, demanding truth and compensation. The era of imperial arrogance is over. Russia is no longer a center of influence, but a vulnerable player forced to reckon with those it considered little brothers just yesterday.